if I told you that one of the greatest minds in human history wasn't smarter because he knew more, but because he saw reality differently? After Einstein died, scientists removed his brain, sliced it into hundreds of pieces, and spent decades trying to answer one question: what made Einstein Einstein? Welcome, everyone, to the Simulation Frequency. My name is Chrissy, and on this channel, I like to explore topics like this to discover different things regarding the simulation and reality shifting. And this one specifically has piqued my interest, so I wanted to dive into it and essentially do some research on Einstein's brain. Let's check out this YouTube video that does this really great job of explaining it.
A typical adult male brain weighs around 3 pounds. Einstein's weighed 2.64 pounds. While smaller overall, a crucial section of his brain was 15% wider than average. The inferior parietal lobe is the region of the brain associated with visual and spatial reasoning. Would have been crucial to coming up with Einstein's famous theory of general relativity. The Sylvian fissure, also known as the lateral sulcus, usually separates the frontal and parietal lobes from the temporal lobe. However, in Einstein's brain, this big crevice was largely absent. The rear end was shorter or truncated. It did not extend as far into the parietal lobe as it does in most people's brains. This expanded Einstein's parietal lobe, making it wider than normal.
So I wanted to know how someone would increase their parietal lobe to increase the neuroplasticity. You want to do math puzzles, which means engaging in numbers-based games and mental math challenges, which Einstein was doing that a lot. And you can also do visual spatial puzzles, so work on word scrambles, jigsaws, or complex 3D spatial tasks, juggling, golf, and dancing. And obviously, I think dancing is a really big one. If you're big into the manifestation community, Neville Goddard is one of those gurus that is heavily spoken about, and he was a dancer. So I think he was very easily able to tap into and be in tune with his body and learning these different dance routines and keep the brain very fresh, if you will, along with aerobic exercise.
Pathologist who performed the autopsy removed his brain and kept it for himself. He cut Einstein's brain into 240 blocks. He did create 2,400 slides containing thin sections of Einstein's brain tissue to be examined under a microscope and sent them off to other scientists who revealed fascinating insights. She found that the neurons on the left side of Einstein's hippocampus were larger than those on the right. Larger neurons in the left hippocampus suggested stronger nerve cell connections between the hippocampus and the neocortex. Also found that the bundle of nerve fibers connecting the two hemispheres of his brain, called the corpus callosum, was thicker than average. Its corpus callosum, denoted in red, was thicker than those in the control group of elderly men, denoted in blue, and also thicker than most of those in the younger control group of men 24 to 30 years old, denoted in green.
So I did hear that his brain was in great condition. So I think it was because he was constantly engaging in these higher level thinking activities and these math equations and trying to constantly solve these complex problems kept his brain fresh.
Dr. Diamond was the first to show that the brain can change and improve at any age. Her work with rats demonstrated that those who played with mazes, ladders, wheels, and their companions had larger brain cells and a greater amount of glial cells compared to rats that were kept isolated with no toys. Including humans, benefit from an enriched environment. An impoverished environment can lower the capacity to learn. This is now called plasticity of the brain.
I actually believe that we can train this in our brain, so to speak, or we can entrain our brain to have these different mechanisms and modalities. We can mold our brain into these things, so to speak. So if we were to do that, like I said, you would increase all those things like Einstein did. Is he probably born potentially with a different brain? Perhaps, but I personally think everybody is born with whatever they are born with, and it is potentially malleable in certain situations, especially with repetition and now the idea of neuroplasticity. And if you see here, how would someone improve their hippocampus? You would do this through exercise, learning, and sleep. So, of course, that aerobic exercise, that's really important. You do this, it releases that brain-derived neurotropic factor. What they're saying is like miracle grow for the brain. Also, I do believe eating certain things like omega 3s and all this, like all those healthy fats like avocados, all the things that would feed your brain, doing all that and then doing it in cycles and learning new novel things. I've talked about novelty on my channel so many times at this point. Doing things, brushing your teeth with the opposite hand, trying to take new routes to places that you normally only take one route to, doing something really different every time you potentially can, you will start to grow those areas in your brain, or you will quicken the synapse, if you will, especially if you pair it with something specific. Like, for example, I am what would be like a trader brain. I want to be able to identify the patterns. I want to be able to execute with precision and grace and style and not be in fight or flight. There's all these different things that I need to kind of condition my brain to have, like an athlete almost would to a certain degree. It's the same type of situation. And this would be with anything that you're looking to basically achieve in your life. If you want to have excellence in a certain area, it is not only just doing specific actions, it's the repetition of micro actions, I think, as well. And these novel paths will start to create this new way of life for you. We learn this information, we're not just ingesting it. I am trying to tell you, take action with it. Do something in an area where you want to see drastic improvement, where you want to see a goal happen, where you quote unquote want to see a manifestation or a reality shift. I believe this goes hand in hand with the simulation. You have your avatar, and then you have the simulation that works alongside of your avatar, but also hand in hand with the equipment of the brain within the avatar, that you can basically, in my opinion, sort of shape shift to be in congruence with the reality that you want to see or experience. So also getting a lot of deep sleep and also maintaining a lot of mindful practices and trying to reduce your stress. So it's learning to understand and how you will react to these things. I also did want to talk about improving the corpus callosum. As here you can learn a musical instrument, you can engage in bimanual sports, like I talked about before, using both sides, practice cross body movements. It says here for practicing cross body movements, you can do yoga poses that require opposite arm and leg movements that promote cross brain communication. So that's really cool that we can improve that. So you want to do that alongside all of those other things. And then I did want to talk about those glial cells. How do we improve that? How do we increase the density? It's all the same kind of thing. It's telling you exercise, complex learning and training, prioritize high quality sleep, reduce chronic stress, and nutritional support. All the things we talked about here, they say diets like the Mediterranean are mind diets. So just think about that. And it's also a gut brain connection for me, myself. I have a lot of gut issues from time to time due to my own fault, most of it. But I have been on a journey of doing the right thing for my gut. So I've been drinking a ton of bone broth with collagen and miso in it. I do that for breakfast before I drink any coffee or things of this nature. I've also been drinking a lot of almond milks instead of dairy milks, just switching a lot of things out so my gut has a better connection to my brain, if you will. It's all the things together in the sim that will shift you into your desired reality. I wouldn't say it's just one thing. It could be an overnight meditation, yes, that helps your neuroplasticity, that helps you push a decision. But these are things that with time, you will grow your brain, and your brain and subconscious will lead you there automatically, so to speak. Just like Einstein was using his brain to solve very complex equations, and apparently even on his deathbed, he was doing equations and trying to solve a unified field theory. So he basically died still attempting to even create mathematical equations for this. We can learn so much from his brain. I know they did end up stealing it, but it has then landed us in a situation where we can understand such insane complex brains that have been minds in the universe. And then there has been other situations where other brains were looked at and they have similar type of situations or other connections going on where you can see that these things are trainable, and with repetition you can grow these specific areas in your brain. You can have neuroplasticity, you can have neurogenesis, you can make the synapse, and you can make the grooves in your brain groove the way you want them to, in my opinion, if you, with repetition, do the things that we were talking about, especially if you're gearing it all into avenues where you want to experience something in this specific reality. So I hope everybody enjoyed this video. You learned a thing or two about Einstein and how the brain is potentially working for you. I'm just your friendly neighborhood pseudoscientist. Don't take my word for it. Like Lamar Burton used to say, go out and try these things for yourself. Do something for 30, 60, or 90 days. Could keep going into infinity with these numbers. 120, keep going. Do these things with repetition and see how it changes the neuroplasticity of your brain, and how suddenly things will start working out for you extremely easy, because your brain will be leading you there with ease, and the simulation will work in combination with that and will be bringing in additional layers to help you see reality that you want to see. The filter will be removeth from the eyes, if you will. Your brain will be able to filter this reality the way you want it to be filtered, to be able to experience, like I said, specific things. Until you remove those filters, you will not be able to quote unquote see or manifest or reality shift, or whatever you want to call it, collapse into probability the existence that you want to experience. So until the next time, guys, I'll continue to manifest magic and resonate on your most aligned frequency. All right, bye guys.